Hello dear viewers, my name is Nino and you're watching Nino's product reviews, and today we're going to take a closer look at the Mark V Tough. That's a mobile phone from Creev, and it is a very rugged mobile phone. It seems big, you know, but it's mostly fat. But the cool thing about this phone is that it comes with a huge battery. It packs a 4700 milliampere battery, and it is ruggedized. It offers IP65 protection. Now, what does IP65 mean? Well, the first number always indicates resistance to liquids, and opposite. The first number is resistance to solid matter, and the second one is resistance to liquids. Now this means that with an IP65, the first number is a 6. That means it's completely resistant against dust. It's dust proof essentially. The 5 in the end means that it can resist small splashes of water, things like rain or small water torrent for whatever reason, but you shouldn't go diving with this thing, so that's not what it's going to be for. Now if we take a closer look at the phone and its specs, we're going to notice that we have a 5-inch display, a 720p resolution here, so 1280 by 720. This phone comes with a CPU which is the MTK 6735. This is a quad-core CPU, 1 GHz CPU, but 64-bit. And the GPU is a Mali 720. The phone has 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of ROM. This ROM can be expanded via micro SD card. So if you want to insert one, you're going to have more space in there. 2 cameras available as per usual. The front one's a 5 megapixel. The one in the back is 13 megapixel. And one has to consider that the micro SD card can be up to 32 gigabytes. It's something I forgot to mention. Now another great thing about this phone is that it actually supports 2 SIM cards at the same time, something that is actually much more usual with these cheaper phones than with the expensive ones nowadays. So we can have 2 SIM cards and a micro SD at the same time. We don't have to sacrifice one or the other. As you can see inside the packaging, we have headphones, we have charging cable, and we have a charging adapter, and look at this, we have an OTG cable. Now that's a very cool thing. I don't see that included very often. The OTG cable is basically a USB adapter, for those of you who don't know, which allows us to connect USB sticks or even a mouse or a keyboard to it. So it's very convenient, very useful. Now as we look at the phone itself, it feels nice and heavy, very bulky, but it's supposed to be resistant. Now it doesn't actually have Gorilla Glass, so that means that you should still avoid dropping it. While it will probably still hold its own against the ground, chances are you might break the screen, so be careful. But it will be great for people who do construction work, stuff like that. As you can see, we have this rubber cover here, and the rubber cover is basically what's going to protect the giblets of the phone from external influences such as water and dust. As we can see here, we have the 2 SIM cards on the right and the micro SD card on the left. Now I'm saying 2 SIM cards, they're actually positioned one on top of the other. You have the 2 tiny arrows there, and you can see the battery itself is one of the reasons why the phone appears so bulky, because the battery is actually quite thick. 4700 milliamperes are going to usually manage you for at least 2 days, depending on how you use it. With my type of usage, which is pretty average use, but I wasn't really playing games on it, I was just doing some browsing, talking on the phone, stuff like that. 2 days easily. I had to recharge it on the second day, I'd say about 9 hours in after I woke up. So around, I think at around 7, something like that. I'm not certain. Now when it comes to browsing experience, the processing power of this phone is more than enough. Pinch to zoom is pretty fast. You can see that there's sometimes a minor lag because I'm overdoing it, but it is not something that you will actually have problems with. And even if you go to much more extreme sites like the Mirror here, which have a lot of pictures, you'll see that the phone seems to handle itself pretty well. I mean, these are pretty powerful devices. While it is, compared to the big brand names, very weak, it is still extremely powerful when compared to the back of the days, you know, when we had phones that are much weaker. I mean, I still have an HTC HD2 here lying somewhere around, so those of you who've used this phone, they know what I'm talking about. It's the best phone in the world. But okay, let's not digress. Anyway, as I've mentioned before, browsing is a very pleasant experience with this phone, and if we move on to the camera, this is where really the Achilles heel is of the phone. The camera is nothing to brag about. You know, it's kind of slow when it comes to the zoom. The quality of the pictures is quite muddy, especially if you're taking low light recordings of any time or pictures. You're going to see that the result is going to be okay at best. The front camera delivers okay pictures, although it is not very of a good resolution. As you can see here, a low light picture that I took, it's okay, but it's nothing so good. And here we have a good lighted picture, you know, a well lit one, sorry, and it looks okay. Here's a selfie camera that I tested. Oh no, it's nothing to brag about, but it's definitely okay, you know, it's going to work. It is not a camera phone nonetheless. So, you know, if you want a phone that would deliver superior camera experience, this will not be the device for you. But if you're looking for a rugged phone with a very long living battery without you having to constantly recharge it, this is definitely something that you might want to consider, especially I like how it feels in my hand. Now as we go through the menu, we'll notice that this is Android 6.0 and this Android works very well. It is a very stock Android, it feels very natural, and oh no, I did enjoy using it. There's no bloatware here or anything else that will disturb you. As we take a look at the Antutu result, we'll see that it's almost a 24,000, and that means it will handle pretty much anything except very you know, graphically intense games, like for example here Asphalt. You can see that it is playable, but you will definitely notice that the frame rate is not as it could be. I am still capable of playing here, it's not the end of the world, but some people more than others will be annoyed by this. But I think that this phone will be less for people who want to play much on their phones and more for people who, I don't know, construction workers or people who work in an environment that requires their phone to be more durable, or you know, working in a workshop of some sort where there's sawdust or metal particles in the air, something like that, you know, where a normal phone just won't cut it and you don't want to risk it. You'd rather spend the 170 euro for this one and be on the safe side, but it still delivers excellent performance. I mean, while Asphalt is really one of the very intense games when it comes to graphics, here we have another game which, as you can see, is not ugly, you know, it's absolutely okay looking, and it goes very well, you know, the frame rate is excellent. So if you are someone who doesn't go for these extremely high profile racing games or shooters, you know, these games that look really nice but at the same time are not going to run that nice, you're gonna be happy with this if you play stuff like Clash and Clans and smaller games, you know, with not such intense graphics. But if you want to go the you know, mobile gamer route where you play everything, you play really intense games, this might not be the right phone for you. Here we have another example. Now that's a first-person shooter game, and it is much more intense when it comes to graphics effects and stuff, and you can see again the frame rate is acceptable if you're someone who really does not expect much. So, you know, it is slow. I won't lie to you, I won't sugarcoat it. It is slow when it comes to these intense games, but other than that, for everyday use, talking on the phone, browsing, watching videos, you know, social networking of all kinds, that kind of stuff is excellent, as long as you don't want to play professional photographer with this phone, because the camera itself as well is pretty weak. But the camera life is excellent. The phone lasts very long, usually about 2 days depending on how you use it. I know there will be people who use it even better than me and will squeeze out even more out of it. It feels really nice in the hand, it looks durable, it's nice and bulky. So I think for some people this will be excellent. I have included links to the phone on Amazon, so just check them out if you're interested. Thanks for watching.